It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence for UJA Federation of New York. We've been sharing Torah and music, blessing, and community with all of you friends, with friends from all over the world since March 18th, 2020. Today it is May 2nd, 2025. Troy and Betsy, Susie and Tara, Penny, it's good to see you. Hope that all of you are safe and well. Today, thank you, Penny, is broadcast 1295. It's good to see all of you. Rosa, really glad to be in this space with you too. Really proud to call you sister. Deborah and Linda, Jack and Sharon. Shari, you are coming home. Baruch Hashem. So excited to be able to celebrate with you next time you're in the broadcast. You should be safe and healing in your home. Amy and Neil, good to see you. Anya and Joyce, Kim and Arlene, Debbie, Boker Tov, Natalie, good to see you. Hi, Lydia. All right, let's take a breath. We'll sing a bracha. We'll learn some Torah. Here we go. Raf! My son Rafi is here, everybody. Give him some love. So, good morning, everybody. It's so good to see all of you. Let's get started. It is broadcast 1295. Penny, I see you here also. Facebook and Instagram. You're doing double duty today. It is day 574 since October 7th, since we have been waiting for our beloveds, 59 of whom are still in Gaza. The number is up in the air as to how many of them are still alive. We have believed for some time that it was 24. We have reason to believe that the number is less, perhaps 21. I'm sorry to share that very, very sad news, but we are united with our people, especially our vulnerable, and our family will be hurting more right now. And so as we demand the return of our beloved 59, let us hold in our hearts those who are unsure about the fate of their own family as we do some learning today, holding all of them. The most important thing I can say at the beginning and at the end of every broadcast for these last 574 days is bring them home now. We need them home now. No one more than their immediate family. Bring them home now. I will teach some Torah, but that is in my heart and in my soul as I do so. So please join with me in both the affirmation of learning. Let it strengthen us, and let us make sure that it also animates renewed efforts to fight for our beloveds to come home. Parshat Tazria Metzora, we read two Torah portions this coming Shabbat, is an incredible challenge because they surround a skin ailment, a spiritual disease called tzara'at, mistranslated often as leprosy. Tzara'at can appear on someone's skin, it can appear on their clothing, the vessels cooking vessels in their home and also on the walls of their home. We don't quite know what it is. There are those who try to understand from a modern scientific and medical standpoint, what disease were we talking about? But most important for us to know that how we have talked about this influences the way that we speak. I'm going to get to that right now. After all, if someone thinks they might have tzara'at in the Torah, they go to the priest, the Kohen, and the priest tells them what they do or don't have. And that moment tells us what comes next. If the priest says the person does have tzara'at, then they have to be quarantined outside of the community for a time until they can return. We remember just 5 years ago when we birthed this community, quarantine was becoming a very common phrase to describe what we had to do if, God forbid, we had COVID. But once we quarantined, we were able to return to our community. And that tells us that the essential role of diagnosis in the ancient world by the priest, in the modern world with medical professionals, is incredibly important to trust science because it tells us what happens now and what happens next, even if, God forbid, what we are told is hard. It tells us what we can do. Diagnosis can help. The uncertainty of not knowing is just so hard. Knowing isn't easy, but at least it tells us what we can expect and what we can do. And I want to expand the notion of Metzora, this spiritual disease, for a moment, and then come back to the idea of diagnosis. Metzora has been a mysterious disease even for the ancient rabbis to try to understand, because the Torah never says where it comes from. The Torah says what you do if you find out that you have it, what you must do for the sake of community if you do have it. But it doesn't say where it comes from. And so the rabbis hear the word Metzora, and they play a word game, as it were, and they turn it into a few words. Metzora sounds like the phrase Motzi Shem Ra. And Motzi Shem Ra means someone who speaks evil about someone else. And they come to believe that because it's a spiritual ailment, it comes from a spiritual trespass, which means when we speak Lashon Hara, evil about someone else, when we spread gossip, we open ourselves up to that problem. What comes out of our mouth impacts our bodies, our spirit, certainly impacts our community. And so what they say is, let us be cautious about what we say about each other, because it has an impact. In fact, speaking Lashon Hara about someone else separates you and them. It disintegrates community, which is why the quarantine is the response. It is a process of re-entry to community because the problem distances community from itself. Very powerful teaching. But the role of the Kohen, the role of the priest, is also important, because you go to the priest who will tell you, do you have tzara'at or not? And if you do, that's sad, but there's a way to distance and then return. If you don't need to go anywhere. So the first thing I want to say about diagnosis on a spiritual level is, why would we tell someone that they can't be part of the community? In our day and age, we are struggling mightily with members of the Jewish community who have aligned themselves with those who are attacking the Jewish community in the name of anti-Zionism, but what is functionally anti-Semitism. But there's a difference between saying their beliefs are inauthentic and do not belong in the Jewish community, and saying they aren't part of the Jewish community. A friend made this clear to me when I was speaking with anger about anti-Zionists, specifically Jews who have, in a personal way, have used a song that I wrote as part of their anti-Zionism. They are literally Motzi'im Shem Ra. They're bringing a bad name upon the Jewish people and impacting our community with disintegration and that kind of energy. And I fought back, and my friend said, yes, but would you tell them they can't say Kaddish in your minyan when they have a loss? And that caught me short. Because actually, even though I will very, with fire, respond rejecting anti-Zionism as an authentic Jewish position. They have the right and must be included in the Minyan Tesei Kaddish. Who shouldn't be included in their moment of vulnerability and loss? There's not room for their opinion, but there is room for their body. And if we are to be a community, we have to find a way to somehow be a community, even when some of the ideas are inauthentic. It's not about respectful disagreement. It's about saying, no, you've crossed the border from an authentic idea into an inauthentic Jewish position, and you are still my child. It is hard to navigate this, but that diagnosis is important to say with clarity. No, that is not healthy for the Jewish world. It is inauthentic for our community. You are my child. That is an important delineation that we are going to have to struggle to figure out. Because diagnoses help, whether it comes to an authentic idea, whether it comes to physical health, whether it's about mental health that we are paying more and more attention to. I want to quote a teacher of mine, Rabbi Julie Danan, who writes about this parsha, says, we can study Tazria Metzora to try to find the simple scientific meaning of an ancient malady. And we can follow the sages and reinterpret it as a warning to avoid gossip and slander. Both are true. She then says, I think our study gains even more meaning when we open ourselves up to what these portions evoke for us. For me, she says, the power of diagnosis. That process connects us to the lives of generations past and to the universal human condition. The power of diagnosis, how we can find health. This is hard. This is hard because a person is not defined by their disease, but a diagnosis helps them know what to do, helps us know what to do. And I bless us to be strong enough to let in that very careful thinking. We're in a world that does not elevate careful thinking enough, that doesn't understand that a scientific diagnosis actually can be a health, and learning about diseases is a communal mandate. We are also in a Jewish moment where it is very hard to figure out how to hold together when some, a minority, but a very vocal minority, is being inauthentic. But they are still our children. I will not amplify their ideas, nor will I consider it respectful discourse when what they espouse is the destruction of our family. There is no wiggle room here. But they are our children. How do we find a way to hold our family together? This is our work after these holy days of Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Memorial Day, Yom HaZikaron, remembering and grieving those who have fallen in defense of Medinat Yisrael, the state of Israel, and Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, and victims of terror, and the holy day of Yom HaAtzmaut, the rebirth of our people with the birth of the state of Israel in 1948. After these holy days, we must find the strength to stand together, to draw the lines of what is authentic Jewish discourse, but to remember who our family is. As Rosa says, an erring son is still a son. That is holy work. And Tazria Metzora, for all of its complication, can be a framework for us to think about what the boundaries of acceptable discourse are, and also how to bring someone close again. Not easy, but beautiful and worthy and holy for us to think about. Let's take a breath. As you get ready for Shabbos, send your hearts to the east with me. Pray for the return of our 59 beloveds, and pray for the lives and welfare of those who we will still, please God, be able to hold in our arms and begin the healing process with them. Kol hod balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefatei mizrach קדימה, עין לציון צופיה. עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. See you on Monday, friends. Bye. Shabbat Shalom.